In the end, it's Real Madrid 0, Barcelona 1. Take a look at that shots on goal for Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu.
Hard to score, Dan.
In El Clasico. Incredible stuff, really. Real Madrid not mounting a single shot on target. We wondered, Craig, which one would turn up. The one that did so well in the second half against Liverpool, or the one that we've seen for much of the season. They were terrible today.
We have to talk about lots of horrible games on this show.
Well, yes.
Right? Quite frankly, this was another one. Right? And it's so disappointing because the Clasico over the years, there's been some bad games, of course. There's been some games that haven't lived up to the expectations and the hype. And this is one of them. And look, Barcelona contributed to that to an extent in the fact that they set up in a more defensive way. But that's their job to do that. You know, missing the players that they're missing. They're away from home.
First leg.
I mean, it's up to Real Madrid to take the bull by the horns and drive it forward and show that class. And they didn't, and it made for a pretty boring, dull, horrible game, which played absolutely perfectly into Barcelona's hands.
But again, if Ter Stegen's making 6 saves and balls cleared off the line and great crosses, just blocks, and it was none of that. And I think that's the frustrating thing. Look, we can all lose a game, and you have possession, you do that, but the fact that it was just so pedestrian from Real Madrid at home against their biggest rival.
And not only that, we've seen this movie before.
Mm-hmm. And we accepted that movie against Elche and Almeria. And
it was only the Spanish Super Cup. They weren't invested.
That's right. Hey, that's played in Saudi Arabia. That has no importance, no value to us whatsoever. Well, what about now?
Yeah.
Against a very vulnerable Barcelona team because of their absences. And while Barcelona deserve a lot of credit given how well organized they were defensively, what I think is most concerning from Real Madrid's perspective is how lifeless the performance was, how little reaction there was, how little willingness there was to pressure higher up the field, to force mistakes from Barcelona, and once you force those mistakes, to do something with the ball, without the ball. There is no movement ahead of the ball. The movement with the ball is very slow, it's side to side, it's predictable. And just when you thought that Real Madrid performances could not get any worse, because we saw it against Atletico Madrid, and it was El Derby, there should have been some motivation, you thought, maybe, okay, against Barcelona, there's going to be a different urgency and different intensity. And there wasn't. So it's a pattern. It's now a behavior from Real Madrid that has gone on for the length of the season, and it tells you that this is the trend for Real Madrid. It's no longer, their best is the second half against Liverpool, and so therefore that's what we should expect. This is what we should expect.
Are they still celebrating the Club World Cup?
Oh, yeah, the Club World Cup, of course. Did we get too excited after the Liverpool performance?
Probably, yeah. I think it was a little bit about Real Madrid responding with their experienced players, and a lot about Liverpool just imploding, making those defensive basic errors, losing the ball in the middle of the park. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Gomez, that right side, got obliterated. It's not just Real Madrid that have done that to Liverpool this season. Wolves did it to them in the previous game. Brighton have done it to them. Others have done it to them. And so, I think we did get a bit carried away. It was a good performance, not to take it away. 5-2, Champions League, away from home, been 2-0 down. There's always lots to talk about. But we've seen much, much more of this than we have of the exciting Real Madrid. And not just this season, last season as well. So, I'm disappointed in their performance. I'm disappointed in the game. I thought they had a chance to continue to put the seed of doubt in Barca's mind. Bearing in mind they've lost to Man United, they've lost to Almeria. There was no Lewandowski, there was no Pedri. Go out there and hammer it home again. And they just completely did the opposite. And, we heard Ancelotti after the game being interviewed, and he clearly had watched a completely different game.
Well, in that interview, he said he was happy with the team's performance. He thought they had complete control of the game. Barcelona were forced to defend. He doesn't mean that.
Control because you're given control is different than actually, controlling with a purpose. If the purpose was to pass the ball around midfield, they had a great game. But if the purpose is to actually score goals and win a game, then they were not in control of that. You don't have a shot on target. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, you're Real Madrid.
Yep.
Now, what we have seen from Real Madrid when they have had off performances, which have been too often, it's been an individual because they have such great individual players doing something that separates them from their opponent. You have a very disciplined defensive Barcelona team. The reason why in the biggest leagues in Europe, they have the best defensive record of any team. So you heard Xavi say in the postgame, sometimes you have to suffer. Now, you don't expect to hear that from a Barcelona manager, particularly as Xavi.
Yeah.
But the fact that they can get this group of players to buy in that, hey, maybe we're not quite what we want to be in the future, but we will do what it takes to win a game. Look, it's impressive from Barcelona, and it's not good enough from Real Madrid.
Impressive once again from Araujo on Vinicius Jr. as we saw in the Spanish Super Cup. What does he do so well? How does he keep Vinicius at bay?
Well, first of all, he has the pace to stay with Vinicius Jr. And then he has an additional element, the physicality. Ronald Araujo, there is a chip in his head that sometimes clicks and sometimes doesn't. And there is the possibility of him coming in with a reckless challenge. And he'll go in late, and he'll give you a little extra. And as a player, you're aware. And very early on in this game, a couple of times, when Vini tried to run by him, he put his body right in between Vinicius and the ball. You're going to run into me the whole time. But most of all, he's not afraid of Vinicius Jr. I think it's more of a challenge for Araujo in saying, I've been successful against this guy before. I know that I can stay with his pace. I know that he's not going to run right by me. And even if he runs right by me, Koundé is going to be able to cover me because he has the pace to do that. So if I can get tight and give him a little something, let him know that I'm going to be here the whole time. But if he's able to get in behind, I still have the pace to stay with him. Gives Araujo the confidence to know full well that he can play against Vinicius Jr. Even more so when Vinicius starts cutting to the inside, when he starts going towards the help, or when Vinicius starts worrying about the refereeing or the foul or the fans. When you've done that, you've taken Vini Jr. out of the picture, and you've taken a big part of what Real Madrid does in the attack.
What does Ancelotti need to do to get a song out of this lot?
Well, he needs more drive in the middle of the park, for sure. I think Camavinga at times does some good things. Gives the ball away a lot at times. And the two players that don't give it away, Kroos and Modric, I'm not sure anymore in these games you can play them both at the same time.
Right.
I think probably getting Valverde back in there, running from the midfield. Maybe it's Tchouaméni and Camavinga. I don't know. Rodrigo maybe from the start. Switching sides. We talked about this. Switching sides for Vinicius Jr. or switching position if he's getting no joy out of Araujo, which you never in Saudi Arabia, which you didn't hear in Madrid tonight. So think about it. When Barca play in La Liga at the Camp Nou on March 19th and then the next game in April, I wonder who's going to play right back if Vinicius is playing. I mean, it ain't rocket science. He's done a job on him twice.
Yeah.
He's done a job on him twice.
Can they
and
bring
as
back-
Ali said, he knows he can get tight because he's probably just as quick as him.
Right.
It used to be in the old days, front men always kind of outrun defenders. But these days, defenders generally, a lot of them, are as quick, if not quicker, than the wide men or the strikers. So they know he can get tight. The only problem for Araujo is if he does it something silly early and gets booked, then he's got a bit of a problem. But in both games recently, he's been able to squeeze right in on him, and that has made it really difficult for Vinicius Jr. So I'm really not sure how much scope for change Ancelotti has, but I don't think the personnel, he went with the experienced team tonight.
Yeah.
But that experienced team was a little ponderous.
Ali, it's been quite the week when it comes to La Liga title odds and your percentages. I think you said that if Barcelona would beat Almeria, it'd be 100%. That was then pulled back to 60-40.
Aha.
Now, where do we stand now? Because obviously it's a different competition, but it's impossible not to look at this match as kind of a starting point from here on in.
Split the difference, 80-20.
Right.
In the trajectory, of course, of Barcelona. I think there's some significance in this game that goes beyond the Copa del Rey semifinal and what that may mean to both clubs. It's the doubt that you would be able to create for Barcelona, the continuation of their struggles, potentially having lost twice in 4 days. That maybe you lay a path, if you're Real Madrid, you lay a path for that doubt to creep in and get a hold of Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much for that. Barcelona fly back feeling oh so great about themselves, having proven to themselves that they not only can beat Real Madrid, but they can beat Real Madrid without having the ball, without having the responsibility to carry the possession, that defending and fighting for each other is going to be enough. This was, I think, an important performance from Barcelona's perspective because it was an ego-free performance.
Right.
You are asking guys to do things that they don't regularly do and do them defensively, with pride. I'm going to win this ball. I'm going to defend for this guy. I'm going to cover these spaces. We're all going to move together, and this is the way that we're going to win. We don't always see that from Barcelona because they are usually the team in control. They forfeited the control and said, okay, you do it, Real Madrid. We're going to fight for each other, and we're going to defend for each other, and we're going to cover, and we're going to tackle, and we're going to make it physical, and we're going to make it ugly at times. And this is going to be good enough for us. I think today was a really statement win for Barcelona for themselves. Never mind us. We're not important at all. For themselves. To truly believe that, yeah, we can go anywhere, and if we do this and we play like this with this sort of intensity, we can win anywhere.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.